afternoon, everyone. It's Tom here again, and thanks for joining me on this 7th video in our series of doing a plant project inside the AEC collections. In the last couple of weeks, you might notice also that Plant 2019 has come out, and I guess just a little bit of interesting information is that when I opened up my 2018 project in 2019, I didn't get an upgrade dialog. So it looks like that if you're on Plant 2018, you'll be able to open them with Plant 2019. Now, I don't know if that means that you're going to be able to mix up versions, but you can always assume that you can't unless someone out there proves me otherwise. But for the time being, 19 has taken the 18 project straight away. So what we're doing today is we're going to start creating some 2D documentation out of this, and then just create some plans and elevations from our models. And in the plant industry or in the plant software, these are called orthographics. So I've gone through and I've tidied up my piping model a little bit. So I've gone through the rest of my PNID. I've thrown in there some of these runs from these tanks over to these pumps. And then subsequently, I've run some of these lines through up into these reboilers. And you can see I haven't done all of them, but I've sort of made a start on that. So that this project will slowly progress. And then what we're going to do is obviously eventually we're going to have a sort of full-blown plant project. I'm not sure if I mentioned it previously, but this is essentially the sample project. But what I've done is I've started recreating it in metric values, so that way we can have some half decent dimensions in there rather than having to worry about feet and inches. So my piping model is progressing at some point, so this is where someone will start asking us for documentation. So you just switch to the orthographic drawing tab on your project manager. You can, from within the this home tab, there's a button there to create ortho views. My own personal preference is just to come into this tab here and create a new drawing. So I'll create a drawing called 1000. I'll put my initials in there, and then you can see I'll leave all the other values pretty stock. So this is your blank sheet that you create. Again, I haven't really bothered with any of the text styles or anything, but going through the ribbon, we have a new view. So that's obviously just creating a new view from a model, creating an adjacent view. So we just click the source view and it makes the adjacent view whichever way we want to look at it. Edit view is obviously edit. Update is just sort of a refresh. Delete view is just that, deleting a view. Locating 3D model is always good. So if you're looking at the ortho, you can pick an object and it'll zoom to the object in the model, and creating a pipe gap as well. So, if you've got something underneath a pipe, we can just put a gap in it, and then that way you can see what's underneath. In regards to the tables, we can have obviously our setup for a table, which I'll go through a little bit later. Updating any bills of material. So if the view was updated, we can update the BOM, and plus placing a BOM as well. Annotation, so Ortho annotate, BOM annotate, so just annotating, I guess, the tag, the valve tags, equipment tags, all that kind of stuff. BOM annotation is just placing the BOM number on that item. Again, that's something that we'll go through. Any update options, the usual sort of dimension options, and then layers. Obviously, this is all just sort of out of the box for me, so that's just sort of where I'm going to leave it at. So I want to do a new view, and I'm just going to bring in my equipment. And let's do some of my structural models. So under the plant, I'm going to do area 1. So it's area 1 equipment, area 1 piping is going to be off because I just want a basic sort of plant layout, I guess, and then throw some structure in there too. So what it's going to do, it's going to come up and show me the extremities of that model. So because I've started at 0, 0, so I'm getting my top view, so you can see I've got top view. The beauty of this now, a few years ago we updated it so you didn't need to do flat ortho views, you could create your own custom ones. So we can have current view, so that means I can take basically a snapshot of this view, or I can just do some southwest isometric views, northwest, northeast, left, right, top. But for this exercise, I'm just going to do the top, then spin this around, So this is going to be the extent of my view here. I'm not going to add one, but I'll show you this anyway, adding a jog. So it means that we can cut out this corner, and then you can see that we have the option here just to adjust this box here so we can look behind objects as well. So again, particularly handy if you want to look behind something and you don't want to create separate views. 3D model selection is just that, adding more 3D models to it. I can save this Ortho cube as a configuration, and then if you need to recall it. The options for the hidden line piping, no hidden lines, are all hidden lines. So if you have piping in there, it won't do hidden lines. It'll just do hidden line for the piping, or it'll hidden line everything. So for this I'm just going to say no. In plan view, do you want to see the match lines? Yes, we do. Do we want to see any cut pipe symbols? I can say yes, but it doesn't really matter because we're not having any pipe in here. And we've got paper check here. So the paper check basically will bring in the sheet at that scale. So you can see if I have a look at that sheet at 1 to 50, it's gonna sort of not really going to work. So 1 in 100 looks a little bit better. And plus as well, I can see that cube is a little bit large. So I'm just going to come up here and drag it 60 meters. Okay, and I can see that view is going to fit on that sheet as well. So I'll just go OK, and then I'm going to place it here on the sheet. So depending on what it is, it might take a long time, it may not. And then you can see there that we do have our view in there. So this has brought in obviously all of the grating. We've got the grids in there. We can go through and turn them on or off, I guess, as we please. I'm not going to do an adjacent view here for now, but what I want to do is maybe start doing some annotation. So I just want to see what this is. So equipment annotation tag. So I can see that it's TK1000. So I'm just going to stick that in the center there. I'm going to annotate that one. Okay. The other way to do this is double click inside model space, pick the object, right click on it, ortho annotate, and then look for any other tags. So this one doesn't have any other ones, so same thing, I'm just going to stick them in the center there. Obviously that's not very neat, so you can just sort of drag them out. So what we might want to do here also is just do some dimensions. So I'm just going to do from center to center. And again, we can see that there's 20 meters between there. So as you go through, you can start populating some of this information. So I'm going to do a smaller view around one of the pumps. So drawing number 1001. Go OK. So same thing, I'm going to bring in a new view, and I want the equipment. I don't want the structure this time, but I do want the piping. So from here we can see what we've got. So I want to generate some drawings around this pump set here. So same thing, I can just pick the view cube, and then let's say that we want to come up. Let's do 70,000. Okay, and then over here, to make it a bit smaller, turn off my snaps. Let's do 20,000. This side, we're not really too fussed with the tank, so again, I'll make that 30,000. And then come back over here. And we can do 25. So we're just sort of making our box smaller and smaller. I can see I'm just outside of that, so I want to see a little bit more of the pipe run, so I'll come back another 5 meters. And then this one here, I'm not really too fussed on seeing these reboilers, so again, I'm just going to drag this back a little bit and maybe come back 4 meters. Now with the height, obviously I don't need to see the height. I want to bring it down just so I'm just above that pipe and you can see where it is. So again, let's come down 20 meters. So this is going to be our new top view that it places on the sheet. Now obviously these fans are up above that view, so we're just going to ignore that for now. So I can see on my paper check that 1 in 20 might be a little bit more decent. So probably not really. So let's do 1 in 50 because I want to add some extra side views on here. So I'm going to say hidden line for piping, no hidden lines or all hidden lines. I'm just going to say no hidden lines at all and looking at the top view. So we say we look at the top and we place it in the top left, and you can see there we got our pumps, and you can see everything is hidden line as well. Depending on the line types you've modeled, you might want to change your line type scale to 10. That doesn't really work, so we'll go back to 1. Now, that's my top view. I want to do an adjacent view to that, so I pick the source view, and I want to look at the front and go OK. And now I can place the front view of that, and I can line them up, and then you can see we've got the front view. So that's looking front on from that shot there, and I want to do an adjacent view to the right hand side of that. So go right, and then do the same thing. And you can see we've got the right hand side of that, and then we've got all of our valves and everything in there as well. So once we've got them in there, so same thing for valve tags, right click, Ortho Annotate, hand valve tag. There you go. So as you go through, you can start placing in your valve tags, and obviously they're the same in all of the views there too. So if we look at placing some of these tables, so this is just a bill of materials with a simple BOM, sort by ascending size, any other long description options there. Again, I'm just going to leave it as normal. Select the viewport, pick a corner to corner, and then you can see there's our options there as well. So we've got all of the pipe, elbows, flanges, bolt sets. So if we wanted to pull up what the ortho annotation was, so right click, ortho annotate, and then we got BOM number, and you can see that it's item number 5. So even for this valve over here, bill of materials, so I come over here, it's item number 15. Same thing, this is item number 15 as well, so we've got 2 of the same valves there. If we jump into this view, we can start doing the same thing with these here, so it's item number 13. And item number 13. So if someone looks at the sheet, they go item number 13, it's a gate valve solid wedge 300-pound raised face. Just another handy trick if you want to change the style, come into standard. I like this one, it's an Autodesk one, artifact element, and you can see it changes, it looks a little bit nicer and neater. These are essentially just normal tables, so you can come through and modify and adjust them, adjust all the colors and lines to suit as well. And you see all the title block is a little bit neater. You can put other text obviously in there, any other dimensions if you want to, and just another quick handy little tool. So locate in 3D model, if I'm looking at this and I want to know where this is in the model, so I click on locate, I select the valve, and then Plant 3D will go through and highlight it and zoom to it. So you can see there I can start manipulating that valve. So just to show you what happens if something changes. So let's put in a quick little bypass in here. So I'm just going to stick it 2 meters this way and then come across and place it perpendicular into there. And then again, this isn't off for PNID, but let's put in a flanged gate valve. Okay, so I can close that off. Now, what happens here is I right click on it and I validate it. So I can validate the views, and it will tell me if something needs to be checked. So you can see here it's come up in red. So all 3 views have to update. So I'm just going to do the whole drawing. So I can say update the views. And there you can see there the BOM's updated, and plus as well, we can see that new bypass has been put in there too. So that's really it from the plant sort of ortho side. Again, we could probably go into sort of deeper if people really want to, but I guess this is a good intro to show you how we can create some 2D ortho views from our project. So that's it for this video. Next week I'm going to cover creating isometrics, and we're going to send those out to the factory as fabrication ISO, so that way your welders out there in the factory can weld all the pipe spools together and then start putting them out on site. So that's for next week. If there's any comments, please add them below. I'll try to get to them. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week. See ya.